Hi, thank you so much for such an introduction. And thank you, everyone. It's so great to be here and being in a group with wonderful women like you all. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm going to be talking about basically strategies for building an inclusive community. Why am I talking about this? It's simple. Open source community is one community that has built tremendous intelligence solutions that has helped organizations and developers become creators. But surprisingly, we have widening the gap of diversity and inclusion within the open source space. Research has shown that women are daily marginalized within the open source community. And so I'm going to be sharing a few tips on how to build an inclusive community. One of the first thing here is active code of conduct. Active code of conduct is talking about basically policies that binds an open source group. A code of conduct are not going to implement themselves. It is important that organizations and open source projects makes their code of conduct active and make it transparent as well. Make sure that people that are not treated properly within the community are fished out and are, properly addressed. Secondly is inclusive naming. I'm going to be quick with this one because I have 5 minutes. Inclusive naming is basically talking about process documentations, app interfaces, and how basically to address unclear and harmful languages. There are organizations like inclusive naming organizations, basically initiatives that could help organizations and community ensure that they have proper namings within their documentation. Names like master to slave can be adjusted to possibly like denial lists and all of that. Another important thing here is mentorship program. It is important that organizations that want to bring in more inclusiveness into their open source project partake in mentorship programs. Mentorship programs like Google Summer of Codes, Outreachy, are kind of programs that you could use to drive in more women input into the open source space and also newcomers as well. Also, process documentation. We cannot overemphasize the need to have documentation within the open source space to be very clear, concise, and readable. It is important that we have process documentation to be documented in different languages. You can't just, use or more like think that everyone understands your language. For instance, I don't speak Swedish and I work at IKEA. So it is important that process documentation is enough for people to understand what you're doing and how you're doing your processes as well. Also, we're going to be looking into process documentation in a way that we are talking about how does people understand your leaders? How are they being picked? It is important that you make it clear how you select your board members and the like. I'm also going to be talking about metrics. Organizational metrics is a way of checking the health of your community. The health of your community can be determined at events and conferences. For instance, when you hold an event, it is important that you measure how many diverse people you are able to attract in your event. Metrics helps you to basically understand how to do better in your next event and driving more inclusivity into your event. Like I said, I'm going to be very fast. So I'm going to be taking a bit forward into representative leadership, which is the last one. So representative leadership is basically ensuring that open source program offices involve people from diverse groups. It is important that you have this set of people because people tend to go closer to those that look like them and, basically help them to understand what is going on within your community. I hope I've been able to use my 5 minutes well. These are further readings if you would like to know more about this. And thank you very much.